Good afternoon, everyone. It's Amy here for Free Advice Friday. You may notice this is not the front seat of my car like the last 2 weeks has been as I've been traveling around, nor is it my office. Today, I've been on a camping trip for the last week. I've been up in the mountains without any cell service or electricity. I've been cooking over a fire, and we just left the camp, and I decided to rent a beautiful, spacious hotel room just to host Free Advice Friday for you guys. I couldn't stand the idea of doing it from the front seat of my car again. So yes, I apparently am now at the age where I can rent a hotel room by the hour for the Wi-Fi. I love that that's what my life has become. So we're going to get started. I would love to spend the next hour with you guys, but first I need to make sure you can hear me okay. Would you be willing to go to the chat box or to the Q&A box? I'm good either way. And if you can see me and hear me, I guess it's only important you can hear me. Can you throw a number 1 into the Q&A box for me? Just a number, or yes, thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate, good to see you. How are you? Oh, Bianca, thanks. All right, I did find out, hey, Walter, I just got your email 2 seconds ago. Of course I will send you, of course, we'll get in touch. So guys, here's the deal. I promised you that I would get the recording and the transcript for last week up by last Monday. I did not fully understand how deep in the mountains I was going, and that I was going to, it really is, canoe country. So I apologize, but I'm going to be home this weekend, and I will get all the transcripts and the recordings up for last week and this week by this Monday. And I'm sorry that I didn't honor my commitment to you. I didn't realize that there would be zero chance to do that. All right, so great. Thank you for all your patience. Thank you for giving me the heads up. Why don't we get started right away? We have 14 questions that I didn't get to last week, and a couple that came in this week. So I'm going to start with the ones that I couldn't get to last week because you guys had to wait a full week. I'm going to talk faster if I can. Absolutely talk faster. But a woman named Deb, I'm not going to give full names, but she did ask a question that I did not answer. She asked for the best way to get on a guest appearance for someone else's blog, or the best way to determine how to give value either on her blog or on someone else's. And I am suspicious that Deb suffers from what many of us suffer from, which is the sneaking doubts in our heads that we're not really an expert on anything, or that we don't have anything of value to offer our readers. And that's just not true. So Deb and everyone else, if you're not writing an article a week on some topic, start. I do it now. You have expertise. I don't care if you're the best strawberry jam preserver in the world. If you put up the best strawberry preserves ever. I'm a Celtic musician on the weekends. I know some people make dream catchers. I've got other people who ride horses. I want you to get in the habit of telling yourself the truth, which is that there are things that you know a great deal about and that you can be of help. You can be of service to people out there. You can join in discussions. You can offer your advice. If you've written a novel, and for many novelists, they get nervous that they don't have expertise to share. Well, if you've written a novel, you've probably done a lot of research. You've probably researched geographic areas. If it's a mystery novel, you've maybe researched ways to kill people. I have a friend in the industry, a new friend, who has a great deal of experience and now has a great deal of knowledge on different ways that police actually investigate crimes because of the work that she did in interviewing and working with different police people. If your area of expertise is not directly connected to your book, I don't care. What's important is that you need to start getting out there into the world, into events at your local library, into social media, on the blogosphere. You need to start getting out there and getting in the habit of trying to be of service to potential readers. You guys, if you've heard me once, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. I don't care about networking. I don't care about promoting yourself. You need to be of service. So the big question I would ask you to ask yourself is, what can I write an article about? What can I do or offer my potential readers that will help them the most? So that would be my advice to that. You all have something that you're an expert in. And once you get in the habit, then I promise you, it's very easy to shift the habit you have of writing and focus it more on what you're an expert in that's connected to your book. All right. So what I want you to do, guys, is I am going to be answering these questions that came in last week, but do not be afraid to ask me questions in the Q&A box. I've got the Q&A box and the chat box, both open. Karen told me I froze up there for a second. I've got great Wi-Fi, guys. It's amazing. I have 5 bars, so I hope you can hear me okay. If I freeze up again, guys, let me know, and I'll just turn the video off, and you'll have joy of listening to my dulcet tones. All right. The next question that came through, which I wasn't able to answer, is somebody was asking me if I've ever worked with anyone bound by the exclusive Audible contract. Yes, I have a lot of experience in the exclusive Audible contract. Audible, A-U-D-I-B-L-E, is the largest Audible and an audio book company out there, and they're owned by Amazon.com. And if you decide to go through ACX, through Amazon.com, you have a choice. You can get 50% of the proceeds for an audiobook with very little upfront money, but they want an exclusive. Or you can get 25% of the profits, and you don't have to be exclusive. So I am assuming that this woman whose name begins with J, we're going to call her J, probably went through ACX. And even if she didn't, an exclusive Audible contract is, I believe, binding for at least 1 year. And if you go through ACX, it may be as much as 5 years. So take a look at your contract. If you went through Audible directly, it's only 1 year. If you went through ACX, it's anywhere from 5 to 7, depending on the terms you chose. So she wants to know what are the marketing campaigns she can do outside of Amazon within the restrictions of the contract. You can market all you want, Jay. You know, market to Amazon, market to Audible and ebook, and audiobook, I should say, and audiobook fans. But you cannot promote your book or tell people to start asking for it at their local library or to try promoting it through outside venues, I'm afraid, until that exclusive contract is up. Read your contract, see if there's any way you can get out of it if you want to. But marketing and promotion should all be funneled through Audible and Amazon, because Audible and Amazon are best buds. If your contract includes distribution into a few of the other, and it depends on your contract, then that's where you should be funneling everyone in there. Just focus. I know it stinks, but there is no real way to market and get your book outside of that contract until your time is up. Jay is also asking how I would recommend to connect with a book sales rep. Well, there is an organization, there is a website, which I will show you guys right now. Hold on one second. Let me go to share my screen. And let's see, we'll go to share my screen and we'll go to Google. And once we're in Google, I'm going to go to National, oops, how about I spell it right? .org, Napier.org. I hope you guys can see my screen okay. If you can see my screen okay, would you be kind enough to throw a 2 into the chat box? Let's see, National Association. Great, thank you, Larry. Of Independent. I'm trying to do this while this bar is in of Independent Publisher Representatives. That's where I wanted to go. Napier.org. All right, I don't know why that didn't work. This is a website that I recommend. Ooh, they may be down. Okay, well, that may explain it. I wonder if Napier is out of business. Well, then, if that's the case, let's see, maybe it's Napier Online. There we go. National Association of Publisher Representatives. The URL is NAPRON Online. NAPRONLINE.org. There are some wonderful companies here that will connect you with independent publisher reps that will offer services to publishers. But you need to be big enough. You need to be big enough to attract their attention. A commission sales rep, I'm afraid, is not going to be all that interested in taking on a one-book publisher. You won't be worth their while. They need to be able to know that they're going to make a lot of money on you. But I highly recommend that you check out NAPRONLINE.org. Napier, NAPR, is a fantastic organization that I highly recommend. I absolutely love them. And it looks like they have a great deal of articles that would be wonderful for you guys to read. So that would be my advice to you. And I'm going to go back to, hi, it's me again. All right, so if you guys all got that, I'm going to type into the chat box right now that URL so you have it. There you go. So it's all there for you. If you are not big enough for a commission sales rep, my next line, and the one that I suggest to most of my clients and students, is that you go and you hire someone from your church, a college kid down the street, your sister-in-law who's out of work, I don't care. Go hire someone with a lot of computer skills and teach them what they need to do. Someone who's more salesy than you. If you're not, Jay, if you're not interested in doing sales, pay someone $15 an hour. You know, guys, pay someone a living wage. Pay them $15 an hour, but give them 10 hours a week or 20 hours a month. I don't care, 5 hours a week. But give them the job of approaching bookstores and gift stores, museum stores, I don't care, any way you want. But they can actually do the sales for you on an hourly basis. I very rarely recommend that somebody hire a high-powered salesperson to do sales for them on a high-level hourly rate. I do it sometimes for clients, but it has to be really the right situation, and it has to be someone who's got tons of books where I know that my work will actually launch their brand. If you've got one book, I would recommend that you hire someone locally and have them do it for you. I actually have a video on how you can hire someone to do sales for you, and I'm making a note. I'm going to put that into the August 10th Free Advice Friday, that link to a free video. I'm going to put it up on YouTube so that you guys can watch. It's a 45-minute video on how to hire someone to sell for you. Let me jot that down. All right. Well, thank you, Jay, for that question. And now we're moving on to M. I do know there's some questions in the queue. I promise I'm going to get to them. M is in the situation where she has a book that was from a hybrid publisher, a co-publisher, someone that she paid to publish. She owns all the rights, but at the moment, her ISBN, if it's a hybrid publisher, she may own all the rights, but she doesn't have the publishing rights or the distribution rights. She has the copyright, but she's only used the book for public speaking events or gifts to clients and participants when she's keynoting. She's got a 2-day seminar that goes along with the book. And so she's really ramping up her speaking career, and now she's keynoting and she's got the seminar coming. She'd like to update the cover. She wants to know if she should get a new publisher. My advice, M, is to publish it yourself. Cancel your contract with this publisher. Get your files back from them. Put your own ISBN on it that you own. Publish it under your own business imprint, and take full control of your printing. If your book is 210 pages and you're being charged $6 or $7 to print, and if they're giving you the book at a 50% discount, those days can be over if you publish the book yourself. You can hire a designer. I have a fantastic designer that someone introduced me to that I found through 99 Designers. Her name is Mila. She's fantastic. Daniel Hall has a terrific designer named Joan that he adores. He found her on Fiverr. Guys, you can get good book designers for no more than $200 or $300. If you've already got the book done, you can take that file back, put your own ISBN on it, put your own cover on it, and publish it properly. If this hybrid publisher is not the kind that you paid, let's say that they own the books and the files and all that, well, I'd still recommend that you take your book and republish it under your own imprint. Pull it away from a hybrid publisher. There's absolutely no reason for that. Publish it yourself. Keep all of the money you can in those profits. That's my advice. This company apparently does offer PR and paid publicity distribution. I don't know which company you're talking about. You haven't mentioned it. But my experience is not a single one of these vanity presses, and yes, that's what they are for the most part, not a single one of these vanity presses is the PR worth the money. You can hire someone yourself to go reach out to you. Again, $15, $20 an hour. Get a local college kid who's going to school for marketing and PR and pay them over the summer, $15, $20 an hour to pitch you. You can do this. There's a lot of, and I don't mean free interns. I mean pay someone, but there's no reason to pay someone $3 or $4 grand to promote your book if your budget is tight when you can do it yourself. But you wanted to know what the normal range, the investment, the financial range for activities. A 3 to 6 month contract with a big PR firm at, let's say, $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So let's split the difference. $4,000 a month for 3 months. You're looking at 12 grand. That's on the low end for a high-end PR firm. Most of them will work for 6 months, so you're looking at 25 grand or so. 12 to, so anywhere from 10 to 30 grand is what you will pay for a high-end PR firm to just do publicity for you. And that's a normal range. Think about the kind of use you could get out of, if you kept $10,000, you could pay someone for 6 months to work for you pretty much, 20 hours a week exclusively, and they just need some training. And there's lots of great trainings out there. Sandra Beckwith at buildbookbuzz.com, she's got fantastic. You could train up someone yourself to work for you. There's some terrific VAs, virtual assistants out there who, for $40 an hour, are already trained. So consider that. That's my advice. And thank you so much for checking in. And if you want to check back in with follow-up, drop me an email and we can set up a call. All right, let's see what sort of questions are coming in on the Q&A. Yes, Karen, Kay, I just sent you an email telling you that your situation, which I'm keeping, we don't need to say what it is here, is so unique that I'd love to get on the phone with you this week. Kay here, Karen, and just her first name, had a book that's actually published by a children's book publisher. And then she got the rights back and she was distributing it through a distributor. And through these changes, she has lost control over where the book is being distributed from and to. Sales are happening, but none of the money's coming to her. She needs to narrow in. So when you guys are in a situation like this, while it's perfect, and I appreciate you asking for Free Advice Friday, Karen, I'd love to set up a call with you sometime next week, and we could really dig into this because it's going to take a little bit more than I'm afraid, and I can get into here. So, all right. I'm going to go back to I don't see any other questions, but I'm going to go back to the questions that are being asked. R has a question about her launch. She was going to publish the new edition of her book, and I know R personally. She's got a couple of books coming out, actually, but she's got one that was supposed to come out October 15th, but she hasn't gotten the finished interior. Everything's not running smoothly. In the interior, not everything is happening according to schedule, and it's running a little later than she expected. Since she doesn't have the interior yet to send reviewers, should she delay and push it out? Because she has heard me say that for pre-pub reviewers like Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, they need 3 or 4 months in advance. And she's nervous that she's already missed that window. It's October. She's already missed for, it's August. She's already missed the October 4-month, 3-month window. In your situation, Rebecca, you have written a very, very niche-y book, and the chances of Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, or the 3 or 4 Kirkus, Forward, Book List, those 5 are the biggies. Those are the only ones that need it early. And the chances of you getting a review from one of those 5 is minuscule. It's the same as the chances of me winning the lottery. Yes, Publishers Weekly does review self-published books. I have seen Kirkus editorial, not Kirkus Discoveries. We'll talk about that in a minute if you guys want to know the difference. There's a difference between editorial Kirkus proper reviews and that Kirkus Discoveries plan they have. But I have seen the proper reviewers review self-published books. But it's very rare. A lot of things need to line up. And Rebecca, I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't push your book out. You were saying April. It's not worth it. You can get tons of great reviews after your book comes out. So what if you miss the 3-month window? Life isn't perfect. Knowing you and knowing your situation, but even if I didn't, I would say that a self-published book in a very niche-y market, although a beautifully written book, I'm not saying it's not great, the chances of it being reviewed, they get thousands of books every month, thousands and thousands submitted to them, and they can only review maybe a couple dozen. So I wouldn't postpone and miss the Christmas season and miss all the other plans you've put in place just because of that. It's not a big enough deal. All right, so I wouldn't wait. I would launch all the books as you were planning. That's my advice to you. All right. Somebody is asking about Yazif.com. Are you guys familiar with Yazif? I want to show you Yazif. It's pretty cool. Yazif.com it's a website that I use. Let's see. First, I have to tell them I'm not a robot. It's a website that I use to help find books that are similar to mine. And this I had the best time a couple of weeks ago in St. Louis. And this very talented, Robert, first names only, Robert, I checked your book out. I totally love what you've got going on. And he's saying that he went to Yazif and he found a bunch of books that are not even close to what he's written. But now that he has that information, he's not sure what to do with it. So what I wanted to recommend to you guys, and I'm going to share my screen now, is I'm going to tell you what I told Robert and everyone in St. Louis. What you're looking for when you're looking for comp titles, you're not looking for books that are like yours. You're looking for books that will perhaps share the same readers. So if you type in a book like Coming Home by Rosamund Pilcher, I'm just throwing it out. I hope you guys can see this screen for a second. You're going to see very quickly a whole bunch of books that were also bought by people who bought Coming Home. Let me make this a little bigger. There we go. And bring this down. And so this is an old book. Rosamund Pilcher was perhaps not, but you will see that Rhys Bowen, The Tuscan Child, it's not, it is nothing like Rosamund Pilcher's books Coming Home. Nothing at all. But it's the same sort of reader. And so what I'm suggesting, and let's find another book here. Well, let's find, I don't want to type in Robert's book without his permission, but I have a couple of clients who I know I have their okay to use their book. So let's take a look at Demon Unbound. Let's give it a second to ring up. Wow, it may be tough to do with the internet, and I may be asking the internet too much. But anyway, guys, much to my, I'm sorry, perhaps from Whitney, Ontario, I can't do all of this, but I would suggest, Robert, that even though the books don't make sense to you, if Yazif pulled them up, may I suggest that you use those titles and you use them as keywords. You use the author names and the title names, and you start a list. You're going to want about 1,000 keywords by the time you're done to take to AMS.com, Amazon Marketing Services, ams.amazon.com. And the reason why those keywords, you know, the author names and the title names will be so useful is because anyone who's looking for those books might be interested in yours. How else do you use comp titles? Well, if you don't think that those books are a fair representation of your readership, if Yazif really did screw the pooch and it's not a good fit. I get that, it happens. So what I would suggest you do is you go find books that are a good fit. Go to USA Today, go to Bowker and Books in Print, go to your local bookstore and library. Get your own list together. If you don't agree with what Yazif, which is an Amazon logarithm reporter, what happens is if you put a title into Yazif, Yazif has access to Amazon's backdoor databases, and they can tell you all the books that if somebody bought this book, they also bought that. Make them put them in a nice list for you. But if you don't agree with that list, make your own, and that's how you find reviewers. That's how you find bloggers. If the Tuscan Child, if I had written a book just like Rosamund Pilcher's Coming Home, and I went and, but you know, Rosamund Pilcher passed away several years ago. She's an old, and those books are old. But there's a new book, The Tuscan Child, that I found through Yazif. I would go and start Googling blogger reviews of The Tuscan Child, reviews of The Tuscan Child, book reviews, Tuscan Child. I would start Googling all the different people who were talking about that New York Times best-selling book so that I could reach out to them and offer a copy of my book. Speaking of offering someone a copy of your book, one of the questions that came up this week, and I'm going to jump ahead to it, one of our Free Advice Fridays guys, let me see what his name is, was saying that he has PDFs that he wants to send out electronically. David has some advanced review copies, but he doesn't want to send his PDF out to have it circulated for free everywhere. David, I would argue that you would be so lucky that it would be amazing if 10,000 copies of your PDF were distributed for free, because that meant that 10,000, you know, there's, you're Canadian, and you know, there's what, 30 million of you guys, there's, you know, 300 million of us US guys. If you know, between you and your country and my country, if 10,000 people were circulating a free copy of your book, trust me, that means they're talking about it, they love it, buzz is being created, and a lot more people are buying it. I know tons of people who put up full versions, audio versions of their book on YouTube for free. They go to YouTube, they record, they take the entire recording, and they put it up on YouTube as a video, even though it's an audio. There are thousands and thousands of full-length audiobooks on YouTube that people are listening to all the time for free. And it's a great move because it can get you tons of new fans, and then they will end up buying your next book or the book after. But I get it. If you're a publisher and you've got contractual obligations with authors and you don't want to do that, BookFunnel. Try bookfunnel.com. I'm going to type it into the chat box right now. And then we're going to, you know, someone should check it out for me, make sure it really works. But BookFunnel is a fantastic service that I use. And I also use BookConnect. BookConnect.com and BookFunnel.com are two different services that allow you, for like $20 a year per title, it's not a lot, allow you to put up your Kindle file, your PDF, and your EPUB file totally safe. People will download it, but it's locked. It's not something they can email around. It downloads in a particular way. It's hidden. It's safe. And it's a great way to be able to send out to reviewers a link where they have to go, and they have to give you their email address to get, so how fabulous is that? Wouldn't it be terrific if you were sending out and posting your e-funnel, your book funnel link in different groups and to different places? It's a great way to start getting email addresses for your mailing list. So that's my advice to you. My first advice is don't worry about it, but my second advice is if you're going to worry about it, bookfunnel.com. David is also asking that as a Canadian self-publisher, he's not eligible for the Canadian government agency that does CIP coding. No different than here in the U.S., David. In the U.S., you have to own a publishing house that has published at least 4 books by a minimum of 3 different authors. And they check. They can't be name de plumes. I mean, it has to be real different people with different birthdays and different, they check. So that having been said, you and I are in the same boat. Someone's asking if there's going to be a replay of this later. I post, even though I didn't last week, but I will. I post all of these up on newshelves.com/FAF. And all of you guys who are here should be getting an email by tomorrow with the link of where you can find all these replays plus a transcript. We do offer them to everyone. All right. So, David, you're in the same boat that I am. And yes, I've mentioned that the Donahue Group is a great resource to have the CIP coding, except when an outside company outside of the Canadian government or the Library of Congress in the U.S. does it, it's called the Publisher Catalog and Publication Block. So it's a PCIP block. Just as valuable, it still gets you in the MARC, the MARC database. It still gets the librarians loving you because they see that block of data and they know that they can just go punch in one code and it'll all come up and flow into their computer. They love it. So it's just as valid. The only difference is it's not prepared by the Library of Congress. But all of the data that you pay $100 for, I think it's like about $100, all of that data is put into the exact same databases as though you'd gone through your government or mine. I hope that answers your question. And finally, you and a couple of other people have all asked about short-run publishers. I want to again remind you guys, you are the publisher. You're talking about short-run printers. And some of my favorite digital printers, believe it or not, are CreateSpace and Ingram Spark. They're actually far more, CreateSpace, I've never found anyone cheaper. And I think they do a fine job. If you have a different sort of specialty book, I really like King Printing in Massachusetts. K-I-N-G, like King and Queen. King Printing in Massachusetts is terrific. And I would always recommend Thompson Shore, even for short-run digital. But I think you'll find that the quotes you get for short-run digital printing, you will not do better cost-wise than CreateSpace. So that's my advice there. All right. Bianca's hey Bianca, how are you? Good to see you again. She's asking if she needs a PCIP for her audiobook. No. Would it be nice? Yes. But should you have it? No. As long as you have a PCIP for your print book. Hardcover or paperback, doesn't even have to be both. You don't really need it for the ebook. You don't need it for the audiobook. The print book is mainly the thing because you want the book to be listed in that database. Other formats will fall into line. All right. Bianca, really, you don't need to worry about the ebook. I promise you're in good shape. All right, I hope, let's see, we're plowing through these. I hope, let's see, we only have a few left, 7 questions left. There is a woman who shall remain nameless. I'm going to call her H. H has a book, an entire series, which is very, very similar. It's a middle grade. It's a middle grade book series that's very similar and could lean into the same readership that enjoyed the Saddle Club series back in the day. And she's had a lot of success with them. But now she's ready to branch into bookshops and libraries. Man, she's done a lot with promotions, magazine campaigns, huge amount of attention at different horse shows. She's been promoting and supporting different organizations with the book. She's got a very large outreach program going on, and that social media and online, the book is doing very well. But some librarians are now starting to take notice of her book, and she would like to move on to the next step and get into bookstores and libraries. So here's some of my tidbits for you, H. One is I actually have a video on YouTube that talks about how to sell into bookstores and what you need. And you can go to newshelves.com/blog. Just type in the word bookstore and you will find I've got an entire series on bookstores and libraries and how to get in there. But here's the 30,000-foot view of what you need. You need to have a book that's available to the wholesalers from whom the bookstores and libraries like to purchase. Bookstores like to buy books from wholesalers that give them good terms. And not every bookstore gets great terms from Ingram. Ingram has penalized a number of bookstores over the years because they don't buy enough from them or they don't buy in high enough quantity. And you need to make your book available to these wholesalers returnable. So if your book is available to Ingram and Baker and Taylor and Brodart, B-R-O-D-A-R-T, again, all of these names are in a video series, a totally free video series that I've already created, and a blog that I've written at newshelves.com/blog. You can get all of this data. It's also available in my frequently asked questions page, my FAQ page, which I'm going to put the link to this. I'm going to put the link to both classes, the library class and the bookstore hour-long videos, on the August 10th Free Advice Friday page, just so you can watch it. But if the book is available to those wholesalers, which you can find in the class, on a returnable basis, and if you're offering the wholesalers at least 50 or 55%, depending on what they require, because the wholesalers have to sell your book to the bookstores at a 40% discount, and they need to keep a little something for their trouble, then you are probably ready to start approaching bookstores. Libraries are a little easier. Brodart, as I mentioned, the wholesaler, you can give them a 40% discount. You still have to offer it returnable, and you're in great shape. So, H, I would love to speak with you one-on-one. You've got a lot going on here, and it does look like you're based in the UK, which means that there's a different set of wholesalers that W.H. Smith and some of your guys over there are using. So I think that I think at this point, it's time to ask yourself, are you print on demand? And if you are, can you afford to sell at a 55% discount off the retail price of your book? And can you afford to take in returns? Because when you start selling to the bookstore market, you're looking at sometimes 20-25% return rate. Not always. But when you're launching a new series, now libraries are gorgeous. I love libraries. Although the UK is having a heck of a time with libraries right now. The library market in the UK is suffering. But if you wanted H to pitch it here in the States, the library market here is doing great, and they don't need as much handholding, and their return rate is almost zero. Libraries very rarely return books. So H, I hope you're listening. I would love it if you'd email me again. We could set up a time to talk, and we could go through your specific situations that I didn't address during this call, but I hope that helps you out. All right. Let's see what's going on with the Q&A. A lot of people have popped up. Wanda's asking what I think about audiobooks. She's been auditioning readers but has no budget yet to hire a reader or a producer to do one. Then, Wanda, what you need to do is go to ACX, acx.com. They will if your book is compelling enough, you can put your book and you can put your pitch up onto acx.com, and producers and voiceover artists will read your pitch and will read your book, and they will agree to do your book in exchange for 50% of the profits. You sign an exclusive agreement, and you get the other 50% of the profits. If you don't sign an exclusive, then you only get 25% of the profits. But if you do not have any money for an audiobook, ACX is a terrific option. If you have even a little money for an audiobook, may I recommend that you try Findaway Findaway Audio. Find it, just Google it. I'm sorry, I don't have the URL memorized, but it's Findaway Audio. Findaway Audio. They offer some very low-cost options that are not exclusive, and I love them. An anonymous person is asking the name of the other resource I mentioned after Yazif. What did I mention after Yazif? Oh, I said to go to USA Today and check books out. I said to go to Books in Print, which is published by Bowker and available at any public library. If you walk into any library and ask for Books in Print, they can probably show you either a database on their computer or, God forbid, they may still have some printed books, although I think they stopped printing them. We used to get like a series of encyclopedias. Books in Print, I believe that's what I think that's what I meant. Rebecca's asking BookFunnel and Book What? Rebecca, you don't need both. BookFunnel is the best, but if for some reason BookFunnel doesn't thrill you, you can also go to Book Connect, bookconnect.com. All right. It's nice to meet you, Katrina. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Katrina is Katrina, I'm gonna answer your question. It's not really about books, but I will get to your question offline. I'll send you an email about it. But yes, Zoom does have the ability where I can see all you guys in a Zoom meeting. This is not a meeting. This is a different. As much as I'd love to see you guys, I prefer seeing me. I'm just, what can I say? I'm just all that. Yes, Wanda, ACX is very overwhelming, but you're smarter than any 4 people I know in a row. You totally can make your way through it. I promise. It's not that, it'll be fine. I promise. Just read it, how do you eat an elephant? Small bite at a time. Sally, I see your question and I saw your email. Why don't we hop right to that? Sally is asking if I know where the National Association of College Stores, NACS, also known as Indico, where they source their books, and how can she find out? She had also sent this as an email. So Sally, let me just hop right down to that. And it's very nice to meet you. Any friend of Jane's. But her book, and again, first names only, no titles, unless I have your permission, but her book, which is right now being distributed through Amazon and Lightning Source Ingram, it's available on the Nook and in Barnes & Noble and IndieBound, probably through Ingram wholesaler to IndieBound. So IndieBound often sources through Ingram, Sally, so if you say you're not seeing any sales ever from IndieBound, there's a chance that some of them are being funneled through Amazon, I know, but if your book's up on CreateSpace, bookstores can often get a book. If your book was ever deeply discounted at 20 or 30%, they can often get the book the next day for one of their customers at a 20% discount on Amazon, and they would rather do that than go through Ingram. I know it sounds insane, but there's a chance that some of your IndieBound sales have also gone through Ingram proper, through Lightning Source, and they wouldn't tell you that, they don't tell you who buys your book, they just tell you that your book was purchased. Wholesalers do not share the list of who they sold your book to because it's proprietary information and retailers don't want that out there. So yes, I have heard of National Association of College Stores. NACS is a loose conglomeration, very much like IndieBound, at least it started out that way, but it's a group that was formed for purchasing power for college stores. And you want to know where they buy books from. They buy them from everywhere. They buy them from Baker & Taylor, a lot from Baker & Taylor. They buy from Follett, a lot of them from Follett, Follett. They buy them from Ingram. They occasionally will buy them from Amazon. But NACS does not have one source. They buy them from Midwest Book Distribution. They buy them from Itasca and Pathways, America West out in the West Coast, Bookazine. Depending on where the college is and if they're a member of NACS, large purchases may be done at seasonally, but for the most part they're dribbed and drabbed in. And Sally, unless your book is getting large annual purchases, such as if you had an annual, or if you had a book like a freshman year, how to survive your freshman year book, lots of times 40,000 copies of them are printed and distributed out through these things. Unless that's the case, then I think that you're probably seeing dribs and drabs coming in from everywhere. Oh, Sally, I hope that answered your question. All right. Karen has 2 books with Schiffer Books that are focused around zoo animals and farm animals, and she wants to know if there's a national list of zoos to contact. I don't know, Karen. I would hit Google, and then the minute you do, you're going to start getting emails from people saying, "Hey, would you like to buy my list of all the national zoos?" The answer is no, because they will be useless. And I promise you, they'll be useless. Get some, if you go online and start Googling, national zoos, you can very, very quickly pull together, you could literally pay a VA over in the Philippines. I love People Per Hour, and then there's also, Fiverr. There's lots of organizations where you can go set someone on a task, and they can go find you all the information you're looking for. Don't buy a list, but I would recommend that. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm afraid I don't. I actually belong to an organization that tries to defund zoos. I'm afraid I'm not a great fit. I apologize. All right, we have 5 questions left, and we have 13 minutes. We're in great shape. So if you have any final questions, type them in. We're doing great this week. George had asked last week, and I'm sorry I didn't get to this, George, but I didn't see the email until after the call. You would like to buy a barcode, but you want your book published at least in the UK and the US. That's not how it works, George. What happens is your citizenship is either US or UK. Okay, let's say you've got joint citizenship. Great, pick one. What you want to do is you want to form your publishing company in the country of which you have citizenship and the country to which you pay taxes. Otherwise, you may be breaking some international laws I don't know about. So what you want to do is, let's say that you are a U.S. citizen and a U.K. citizen, but most of your businesses in your life happen in the U.K. What you do is you go to the government actually provides your ISBNs over there. But if you, let's say, decide to go to the U.S., you would go to Bowker.com, and Bowker has an interface, a wonderful website. Let me throw it into the chat, and it is myidentifiers.com, myidentifiers.com. This website will allow you to buy one ISBN for $125, or you could buy 10 ISBNs for $275, give or take, and maybe $295, but less than $300. Less than $30 an ISBN. And I would recommend, if you're doing books, that's what you do. Because you're going to need one ISBN for your ebook, one for your audiobook, one for your print book. You may need 10. So that's how to buy barcodes. Go to myidentifiers.com. It's the interface website for Bowker in the US. If you want to publish your book in whichever country, that's fine. If you want to distribute it to the US and the UK, nothing's stopping you. It doesn't matter if you have a UK ISBN or a US ISBN. Pick the country that you think would have. Now, if your book is the mushroom gathering community of Stow-on-the-Wold of the summer country in central England, okay, then yeah, get a UK ISBN and pretty much distribute it there and make it available in the US. If your book is about the Boston Red Sox, then give it in. I don't know where you live, so I'm afraid I can't help there. But what you do is you pick the country where you live, you create a publishing company in that country, and you buy the ISBNs under that publisher name. Don't worry, guys, you don't have to start a big LLC or anything. Just it's a DBA under your own name and under your own social security number if you're here in the States. George is asking about publishing with CreateSpace and Lightning Source. How does it happen for the same book? George, I'm going to post, I've got an actual a tutorial on this. Very, very fast read. I will give you the short answer, but I actually have a blog that says why you need CreateSpace and Lightning Source, also known as Ingram Spark, which I want you to read. It gives you far more details. But the short answer is you're not publishing under CreateSpace and Lightning Source. You're publishing the book under your own name. Let's say, George, you decide to name your publishing company Iguana Press, because you don't want to name it after yourself. You don't want to be calling it George's Books. And so you call it Iguana Press, and you print and distribute your book to Amazon through CreateSpace, and you print and distribute your book to the bookstore and library market and the international market, such as the UK, through Lightning Source, also known as Ingram Spark. Lightning Source and Ingram Spark are pretty much the same company. The Venn diagram is very mushed together. So you're printing and distributing a book you published under your ISBN using those two sources to distribute your book out to the world. You can also use Nook to distribute your book to Nook and to Barnes & Noble. So that is how that works. There is a far more in-depth discussion as to why you want to do both. You don't just want to pick one or the other at newshelves.com/blog, but I'm going to put the link right in Free Advice Friday. But if you go to newshelves.com/blog, you will either see it scrolling across the top of my website, or you can go to the search bar, which is in the upper right-hand corner, and simply type in Ingram Spark or CreateSpace. And my search bar, I promise, there's hundreds of comments. It'll float right to the top. You'll be able to find the review on that. So hope that answers your question. And the final question George has is, what is the standard way of targeting big reviewers, journalists, magazines, newspapers, etc.? Georgie, it's a little like asking, how do you build a car? And that's a huge question. And I'm not an expert in PR, but there's a woman who is, and her name is Sandra Beckwith. And she runs a website called buildbookbuzz.com. I'm going to throw that into the chat box here. buildbookbuzz.com. And Sandra Beckwith has tons of free advice on her site and low-cost tools that will allow you to be able to go after those reviews you're looking for. How do you get reviews? You have a professionally designed cover. That book's been edited to death. It's been professionally proofread after it was laid out. It's properly indexed. It has a PCIP code. You present the book as a professionally published book to the reviewers in a nice packet, either electronically on an email or in the mail. I would recommend electronically to start. But, you know, every newspaper, every magazine has its own criteria. If you want a review from People Magazine, you have to go to People Magazine, go to their website, and Google, you know, how to submit to People Magazine. I'm afraid that there's no shortcut other than hiring a publicist for 20 or 30 grand, who they know everyone at People Magazine. So you can hire someone to do it for you, or you can start submitting to the you were talking about higher end reviewers. I'm not talking about trade reviewers and the like, but big reviewers. USA Today, I'm assuming you're talking about. NPR, you know, you want those names. I'd suggest you go to their website and you start Googling around and literally Google, how do I get in there? But the best place to start is buildbookbuzz.com. Sandy is a whiz at it. I'm afraid I'm not a PR expert, or I would give you a longer answer on that. All right, let me see if there's any questions coming in before we get a couple more. Susan is asking the difference between Ingram Spark and Lightning Source. Lightning Source was a company that was purchased by Ingram Wholesaler, by the Ingram family, and was spun off on its own, and it's a print-on-demand company. And years later, it got tired. It saw the writing on the wall. It saw that single-title, self-published authors, that a lot of them were starting to drive towards self-publishing, and they all needed print-on-demand. So they split off Lightning Source and kept that for the larger publishers, people who have numerous books. And they started Ingram Spark for people who just have one book. And they don't offer the same level of service, I'll be honest with you. When you're with Lightning Source, at least you used to, you don't anymore. You had a dedicated sales rep, a dedicated customer service rep, someone who can help walk you through it. With Ingram Spark, the difference is you call up, you get put in a queue, you wait for an hour or more. I mean, it's unbelievable the wait sometimes for Ingram Spark, and then you will get the next person on the line, and they can answer your question. But Ingram Spark is the company that is designed for self-published small micro presses with one book or more. All right. So how far in advance should you post a pre-order button on Amazon or your websites? My advice has always been no more than 30 days. 30 days tops. You want to drive pre-orders, you're gonna be really boring on the 34th day. So do it 30 days, a month ahead of time, and start telling people, yay, my book, for your book, you said you wanted it to come out mid-October. Mid-September, start, beating the can and telling people to start going to pre-orders. 30 days, that's my rule. All right. Wanda is actually saying that she was successful about getting a few profiles on higher end media outlets by selling them with different angles, not by saying, please look at my book. And Wanda actually, Wanda is Wanda, I don't have your permission. I'm not going to tell him who you are, but Wanda is a very, very well-known PR and marketing maven with some musical talent that I absolutely adore. The woman knows her stuff. And what she does, she has this wonderful novel about baseball. And she hits them up with different story ideas, not just about, she doesn't just say, can you review my book? She'll say to them, hey, it's the 10th anniversary of this thing with baseball. Or she ties it in and goes, hey, 100 years ago today, baseball did this. Or, hey, the main character of my book was based on this guy, and it turns out that his son is this. And I mean, she's always going at it with different angles. So I would suggest that you take her advice. Great advice, Wanda. But did you take her advice? And don't just pitch your book for review, but also start pitching different story ideas to those same groups. All right, we have 2 minutes left, and we've got a question left from P. P has a question about children's books. She wants to know the best route for self-publishing a children's book. P, self-publishing means that you've published the book yourself. If you're talking about vanity publishing, paying someone to publish your book for you, for children's books, which is, they call it hybrid publishing or co-publishing. They used to call it vanity publishing, but it's paying someone to publish your book. I love Fast Pencil for children's books. Fast Pencil down in Georgia, terrific company. She wants to know the best place to get an illustrator. I would recommend Fiverr, and 99 Designs is a great place, but I would recommend starting first by finding the type of illustrations you want. You want them to look like they were generated by computer in India? Then, Fiverr's the best way to go. But if you want them truly in a particular artistic style, go find some books that best reflect your, the type of style you want. The illustrators listed right on the book, email them, call them, ask them if they'd be interested in illustrating your book. It doesn't hurt to ask. And they might charge you $80,000. I'm kidding. It won't be that much. They may charge you a lot of money, but what does it hurt to ask? So I would say go find some illustrators you absolutely adore and start working with them. And so I hope that answers your question. You were asking about whether or not it's better to go through on your own or to Vanity Press. Sorry, someone is trying to Skype me while I'm in the middle of Free Advice Friday, which I think is just rude. I always recommend doing it on your own. You don't need to pay someone to take away all your distribution rights. That's just mine. And there's enough services out there and enough help out there to help you learn how to publish your own book properly. You don't need to pay someone $5-6 grand to publish your book when you can do it yourself for $3 or $4 grand. So that's my 10 cents. All right, we are at the top of the hour. Let's see if there's any other questions. I think I got to everyone. I'm very excited. R is asking if she wanted to delay her book, would February be okay to launch? Yeah, February would be great. Just make sure it's got a 2019 pub date. You don't want published in February and be claiming it as a 2018 book. It'll look late. All right, guys, I am going back to the wilderness. I've got canoes to paddle and moose to look at. I want to thank you all for being with me here in the Canadian wilds. I will see you next Friday at noon. Yes, there will be replays, transcripts and replays up at newshelves.com/freeadvicefriday. It was wonderful seeing you all, and I'll talk to you later. Don't forget, you can always email me at amy@newshelves.com. amy@newshelves.com. Send those questions in. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.